Hello everybody, got this post which Mickey saw. Mickey gave me the link.
Yeah, which everyone might have seen by now.
It's a building in Portugal, isn't it? It's Portugal?
Yes, last time I checked.
And what it is this next door were digging out to make another building when they came across this building on stilts. We reckon that this building is built 100 years ago. Sorry, it just stops every now and again, but it carries on. So, yeah. They reckon the building's only 100 years old with these great big long stilts.
But yeah, it wouldn't be. Well, you know, when you looked at it, it just seemed that little bit older.
Yes, they're just leading you up to it. I've had a few little problems there with the video, but it will play.
Yeah, she will eventually.
Here it is. And so this building was built 100 years ago with those big stilts. And it's just quite amazing that they would have all that below the building.
I know, this is what flabbergasted us, isn't it?
And the building stayed up. It's got like a church or something on it.
Yeah, I think you said it was a church because you had that, like the front of it, like a basilica. The round, you know, half the round
But now
arch.
you know that's all underneath. I wouldn't like to walk on it again. Well,
it's literally when they were digging down, it's just
so how did
mud,
they get
not
the
rock.
earth out between the pillars in that building?
Very careful, very careful. Look at the size of them.
Look how clean it is. You mean to say they got all
But
the
look
earth
at the
out?
size of them to the man. You see what I'm saying? So is this deliberate?
It says here though, support base was completely replaced
Yeah,
with...
but that's them.
Oh, they've replaced it now?
No, that's them talking their shite. Yeah, that's they're putting in their. You know, they're not saying how or when or anything, are they? It doesn't seem to be an anomaly to them, but yet it is because it's what you're doing on stilts. We built that on.
Well, as per usual, we
Yeah.
have to do a break-in. Because the only thing we can think is, because we did take the footage, okay, it's the news, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
We've
we're
talked
just
over the
spreading
top
news.
of it, so we didn't put their speech in it. And then for 2, nearly 3 minutes, they've copyrighted a bit when me and Mickey are telling you about this. So we'll leave it all in, but we're breaking in hopefully to break that up. So he must be it's everything. They don't like anything I do, Mickey. It's really upsetting me. We're just looking at this building. Oh, there's got to be a problem. They've got to copyright 3 minutes of it.
Because we're changing what they're saying, and they don't like that. You understand? We're saying, we're questioning what's there in the way that they're not questioning it. So they're just going to turn it into something else and, you know, do whatever they're going to do with it. But where do you start?
Why would you do? It's just like that person being buried 100 feet down. You know, like there's just some really weird things.
Weird things, yeah.
Anyway, we're just playing the video.
Done for purpose, but for what? What purpose?
Look at that. So who put those stilts in then, Mickey?
I don't know. Well, I'd like to know who put these columns on the left. See these columns on the left? Then I don't think they're supports, because look at the top of them. See how they're slightly like, you know, almost patronised. A bit like the columns of the house are standing on. So I don't. So it's something, you know, something has gone. Something's gone on there. How'd it get there?
Yeah, you're a problem to my channel.
Yeah.
Because Mickey's the one that brought the Freddie
Yes.
Mercury, right? And that when he was standing there looking at the crowd, he wasn't. And the next thing is they demonetised my channel. See, all you've done is cause trouble, Mickey.
Yes, I know.
It's him, not me. He brings me the videos.
Yeah. Blame me, YouTube.
Yeah, it's him.
I'm the man you want.
Oh, so yeah, you're not any good for my channel.
Then I shall leave.
Anyway, yeah, so me and Mickey are like, got to break in again, and you know that they're doing it to me now, don't you? You know, when I told you that they're doing it...
Well, I thought it was me they're doing it to.
Yeah, but...
It's my video. Great, thanks.
But it's on my channel, Mickey.
I know.
But you know the bit
it's
where...
abuse, basically.
I've said to you that the moment we're saying something that they don't like, they have to copyright it.
Yes. We're changing it.
I know, but so now you know they do it to
We
me.
think we're lying. But we're not.
But now you,
we lie to ourselves.
listen. Nobody, and you don't know me, right? Some of you do, but in person, I mean. But most of you don't know me. But Mickey knows me. Now you know what YouTube does to me over the most ridiculous things. With only pointing out this building, for goodness sake. Oh,
Yeah, well,
it's got to be copyrighted now, because once they do that, they ruin the video.
Yeah.
On your video, that's it.
Shadow ban.
Well, because, you know, like, I'm shadow banned anyway, but once it's restricted, even less people are going to see it.
Yep, you're on the premium.
What? Just because we're questioning something that you're not?
Basically.
Yeah, they're just into the agenda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is why I
we're
threatened
gonna
to
break that.
leave, because I can't handle it anymore, because they're so into the agenda. It's their agenda is the agenda.
Yeah.
Google.
Sad.
Google own them, and Google are owned by, what was that company?
BlackRock.
Yeah.
Well, one of them.
Yeah.
And they're in the centre of the earth.
You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. But I wonder if they just, you know, they've obviously got it in for me, because I wonder if everybody else has to go through this and they're reporting on things. We're allowed to say that that's very strange. What's that look with this building? That church that's 100, well, they're saying is 100 years, is probably older, is being put on these stilts.
Yeah,
In those days, before we knew all about this and all the lies. Building, there's 8 holes. I just think that's incredible that even 100 years ago they'd want to build it up. Why would they want to build it up like that?
Well, if that's the bottom, why are you building up? Yeah.
You know, it's on the news.
That's all we're
It's on the news,
all
and they're
questioning.
restricting it, and it's on the news.
Yeah, I know.
It's on your agenda, it's on their agenda. The news is their agenda. It's on there, and they're restricting me because we questioned it.
Yeah. We like to bend the news because we're news benders.
Yeah.
We write the news.
It just upsets me a bit because it makes more work because we've got to break in.
Yeah.
It just makes more work.
It's stupid.
And then I add even more to the video.
Yeah.
Which we'd have just, it was short and sweet, well, semi-short and sweet the way it was before.
Yeah, it was.
And now we're adding this to the video.
Yeah, now we're stressed. Okay, just to do it again. Break in.
Anyway.
We don't need to do, you know?
Yeah, it's just, they make more work for you. Okay, it's more of a masterpiece now. Thanks very much, YouTube.
Yeah, you wouldn't get on.
I think it's because...
If that's the road, then you're building a block of flats.
I think it's because, you know, like when I told you in London where you think some places are mud flooded, it's because there are these different levels because they're on hills. And then they just built it up and flattened it off, and everybody thinks everything's flat now in the town. But it's not. The town's made up of lots of hills.
Yeah, they're built on.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's anything on those pillars, though, would you? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, it's just a bit too... Yeah, you wouldn't get on BitChute.
You know, at the moment, BitChute seems to be my favourite channel. I don't quite understand Rumble because I had 2 videos. No, I put a video out the other day and it said 20 views, but all I can see on the admin panel is 4. So I don't get that, and I think, why would they not be showing my views, for God's sake? So I don't really understand Rumble. And then YouTube, well, not for its own arse. But anyway, let's carry on now. Hopefully 5 minutes into this video is just sticking it in the bit that's copyrighted, and this should break it up. And oh, for God's sake.
Hope they're happy.
It's pathetic, isn't it?
Let's hope they're happy with it.
Mickey, so I'll tell you this though, listen, you've been here for over a year and a half now, getting on for 2 years. How many times have I had to do this? Break into sort of video?
Ever since I've known you, my dear. Yeah.
And then, oh yeah, you were another trouble with the Hitler one.
That was our first one. That's the first big one.
Yeah, because he never...
That's like up to 5...
What was it? What was the place?
5,500 views.
What was the place? Gettysburg.
Yeah, the old Nuremberg Valley.
That's it, Nuremberg. And so what it was is Hitler was supposed to have made this momentous march down this thing. Just when you can see the backdrop, and we're going, go on, show us. They cut
Walk
it.
down the stairs, go on up
And
there.
then YouTube had a wobbly, and I had to edit and edit and edit and
Right
edit.
again.
It took me 3 days.
And right again, it was on the key part. Right on it. All
Yeah.
And it's like...
So you know...
There you go, Mick. You see?
I don't know...
I go, it's like, that's wrong, Karen. It was perfect.
I don't know why
It's
they
like-
do it the way they do, because it's a weird way that YouTube do it. But anyway, we've broken in now. Thanks very much, YouTube.
Yeah.
Hopefully this makes it all better.
Yeah.
Yes, Mickey?
May your God bless you. You
Yes, evil.
Weird.
What's everybody else's thoughts then?
God,
Seeing
yeah.
that building like that? I mean, it's 8 stories worth of pillars underneath the building, doing nothing.
Yeah.
It's going to
Basically
flood.
100 foot.
It's going to flood.
Yeah. And there's a tiny bit of water we set there. You know. That'd be a sort of...
Yeah, I'm quite surprised there's all that sand in there.
Hmm.
Where's all
Yeah,
the
well,
sand?
that's the red soil, isn't it? All over South America.
It's not South America, it's Portugal.
Yeah. Portugal is South America, isn't it? Are we talking Portugal and Spain?
Portugal and Spain.
Oh, sugar.
Where did you think Portugal was?
I know. Oh, God, I was porky cheese.
Yeah, it's in Portugal, I think.
Well, it was like Paraguay.
Well, maybe it is South America, but I think it's Portugal. But I was wondering when we looked at the people, I thought,
I think, it had a Paraguay feel to me. That's obviously could well be.
well, anyway, it was on this news. We came across this church while looking up churches built on stilts, because we're trying to find this other church and we can't find it. We know it's in Brazil.
Yes,
And YouTube, after changing the whole video and putting in where they said it was copyrighted, they decided to copyright the rest of the video. But this church is quite amazing. I'm not sure if I like it. It looks quite demonic, to be honest.
Spiky and
And where did you think it looked like it had come from? Thailand or somewhere?
Well, just by the points on the roofs. You know, for to scare off the spirits, stop them from going into the churches and that in Thailand and that.
Says
That's
it was
their
built
purpose.
it's wooden and it
Yeah.
was built in the 12th century. It just looks a bit
It's like a Switzerland.
bit different. It's in Norway.
There you go then. It's got that feel in it, like the old Black
Crazy
Forest
looking
feel.
church.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It's
We're just showing you our little pictures because we're breaking into our video again because of YouTube that just ruined it. And now, so first of all they copyrighted 3 minutes, and then when we sorted that out, they copyrighted another 5 minutes. They're so unfair, YouTube. They're just weirdos. Anyway, we're sticking this bit in because we have to. We've got to do a few more break-ins as the video goes on. But this was a crazy church in Norway. And the name of the church was at the beginning, so Don't you think that's crazy with these things sticking out like those? What are they?
Like I said,
Get in there and get electrocuted.
No. Yeah.
Are they to draw electricity?
Well, as we know, they'd be sort of tech, but you know, it's a very, you know, it was a purpose for them.
It took, they said, 200 years to finish building it. But crazy looking building. Anyway, what's your thought about that one? See, from that angle, it doesn't look like there's anything wrong, but you go around the side and there's a great big 8th floor drop.
Certain death. Probably a trap door under the church, isn't it? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, don't want them kicking down there. Yeah.
Sinner! Government man, kick him in.
But at least they didn't find anything horrible underneath it, like lots of dead bodies. Or something.
Yeah, catacomb.
Oh yeah, no
But then it might.
coincidence.
But then it might have taken it all away before, you know, we get this. See this little shell.
Yeah.
I forget they do that, don't they? Well, we'll just take this away from the people.
Look at that! Who put all that reinforcement up there around the edges? They did that.
Yeah, that's just yeah. No, like
Well, you think
do the
that's
shaft.
new?
It's a bit the same as the shaft, you know.
But they look old.
Yeah, especially the bit on the left there that they're not showing again.
They look old pillars. Even then, they look
The bit on
old.
the left.
I think that's crazy that building was built 8 floors
Wouldn't
up.
surprise me if it did go. See here, it wouldn't surprise me if it went out more there. See where it's different to here, and then you got them at the back.
Yeah.
See, like the same sort of pillar thing. You know what?
It's really quite annoying to have to put extra bits in your big cover up to change it so that YouTube don't get our message out. But this says 7 houses are seen, wherever that is. Where does it say? So they're in an earthquake area. Cool, look at those, Mickey. Do you want to live in one of them?
Yeah.
In L
do that way in the
Lake.
Everglades, don't they? From Stilts.
Look at those ones. Vietnam, so it's out there.
From the flood.
It's not really what we were looking at with this building. In fact, we can't find anything about that building, which is probably why YouTube have copyrighted it, because it wasn't real in the first place. You never know, do you, what you're being fed by these people? But we were trying to obviously show you, or even find. We know it was 2013, because it says something on the news. Look at those. Oh, look at those ones, Mickey.
Yeah.
Well, they look like boats on land.
Yeah. So I see it's again Indonesia somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah, or the
Yeah,
Indonesia, yeah, and then that one's Indonesia.
Like big families living in them.
They weren't really what we were looking for, though, were we? But they're houses on stilts. Cool, look at them.
They're 200 years old.
So they're still part of our video in a way because they're made on stilts. But we were looking up the other one, but we can't find any information on it. We've looked in every country. We know it's Brazil anyway. Yeah, that's interesting though. That goes in with our story, doesn't it? Houses on stilts. Looks a bit like the church in a way, doesn't it? With a few more.
The round part.
Look at that one there. That one's incredible. What is it? 3 definitely live in the central one here. And the house extraordinary examples of native architecture in the centre of their communities. They don't really say why they have such big roofs. Look at that. That's my home. Maybe they've got a few layers up here, a few floors.
Yeah,
Oh, that's quite interesting. We're just sticking that bit in because it's a house built on stilts. Because what it is, really that church is built on columns. But how we found all these other places is by putting stilts. When we put columns in, they're just going to show us Greek buildings. But we didn't find our building, did we?
No.
So stilts was the word I used, and it brings up all these buildings on stilts. They're stilts, but they're columns in that video.
Yeah. Definitely.
Isn't that crazy?
Looks like it's going down again. Look, look, this just... We're really messing up.
Well, Mickey built this video to my attention.
I forgot who gave it to my attention, but I'm sure it was one of our people.
So we're just pointing this back out. So this is a columned building which now goes down 100 feet, 30 metres.
Yeah.
And then obviously this is a little bit taller, so it's probably 25 feet. Looks like bricks, doesn't it, Mickey?
Yeah.
Down here
literally.
on this building, which is a lot more modern.
Yeah, a lot more down, the same fucking 30 metres down.
But that's a more modern building, isn't it?
It's not a shoring up, I know that. And this tarpaulin here, what are they?
I don't understand what they're doing.
Yeah. Doesn't.
But we haven't found any information on this church.
Yeah.
And YouTube want to copyright the whole thing.
If I find out where it is, I'll look on Google Maps. See what the road structure is around it. Yeah.
I mean, there's not much going across here, is it, to keep that separate, is it? I mean, that's not a piece of wooden fence isn't really going to shore that all up, is it? And there's still quite a big drop down here. And look how much they've opened it up. Why would they want to open all that up like that? Look how clean it is in there.
Yeah, they're just, they're doing something yet again. But I think it's for the hotel.
Look at that. What's all that plastic over there? Look at that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The tarpaulin's
Yeah, but then when we start really looking, we always find there's problems.
Yeah. So they say
we'll just finish it like that. That's what we saw when the video was playing.
There could be tunnels under there. They're hiding.
Yeah, just covering it all up.
Especially when you've got brick on the side. There's no metal shoring on that right-hand side.
Do you think that's old brick then?
Well, yeah, it's going down. That brick, like red brick as we know.
So that means that building doesn't have a foundation like a modern one then? This one?
It's further down. Yeah. Further down like this one. Wherever this one stops, this foundation is there.
But why would you want to build that?
Exactly.
We don't get this building here and the depth. And you probably think it goes down even further.
It's just an observation.
But we haven't managed to find any information on it, so it was probably made for us, and it's to keep you interested in thinking things, or even not noticing what's going on.
Look over here.
Yeah, well, not even that. It might not even be real. We don't know now because we can't find anything about it. It's just we came across the news a bit about it. But anyway, let's carry on. Yeah? Yeah, that's why we're putting it out, because we just don't understand it all. But anyway, let's carry on.
One of our watchers.
Well, I don't know what to make of that. It's a bit weird.
Yeah,
I just don't understand 8 floors up.
Suspending.
Yeah. And
I can understand.
And the building didn't collapse.
Yeah, I can understand if you're doing the pylons and then like you put a flat base at the top and then start building your house. Yeah, I can understand that, but
I made a video about these. Did I do it with James? Yeah, these things are also built on stilts and supposedly out here in the sea. This is down the bottom bit.
Yes.
This is the big bit that goes out round here would be up here. But they used these in the Second World War. They also look like War of the World is coming, don't they? I mean, they look a bit awkward, to be honest. They don't even look straight. They look lopsided. Obviously, people break in and make videos on them.
Old rust buckets, aren't they?
I mean, I don't know why you'd want that out at sea anyway. Let's make your life as very difficult indeed. Put you out there, so you've got to go through these you know, you've got to be like a tree house, but it's in the sea. These are some older pictures of it here with this got like walkways on it, and to think that it looks like it's painted white there or something, but yes, those are crazy. Oh, there you go, look, there you go. But to think that they're stilts. Now, they were used in the Second World War. They were probably there for the First World War as well, because they lie about everything. But they're quite incredible. They're also built on stilts. Did you say, Mickey?
Mm.
Another stilt thing. Amazing. How did they build those in the sea? How did they do that? Let's just see when they say they're made. So down here it says they were built in 1941. What do you reckon? 1940s or 1900s? They were part of the British anti-aircraft defences against Germany. What could they do in those?
Coming into London, you'll get the signal, you'll hear it.
Well, if that made the difference, like a mile off the sea, of England,
we know.
It's amazing how small it all must have been then. If it only takes a mile for them to be helping with the defence, they're coming. You've got 1 mile till they're with you. Yeah, but anyway, do you think they were built in the 1940s, Mickey?
Yeah, like I say, it's like it's well known.
Well, yeah, but they lie about everything.
Old.
They're very old. But look a bit wonky nowadays. But I've watched videos of people going to them and breaking in and stuff like that. But I wouldn't want to go on them. Yeah,
there's a few people that have, and they're sort of like rusted floors. Like you don't want to stand on it.
No. But look, the stilts are still there. They haven't fallen over.
Yeah.
They're still there, and they're on stilts. And I believe that they were probably built before then.
Well, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like a Napoleon style.
Yeah. You think when?
So that looks like a sort of a Napoleon time, doesn't it? The way they shaped them, that sort of thing they could do.
Yeah, early 1800s, not 1940s. Maybe another 100 years older.
Yeah, well, just speculating.
Floss is playing up now, aren't you, Floss? But anyway, we have broken in loads of times now to hopefully change this video, but really, hopefully you understand the other video we're trying to show you. Church built on stilts. Anyway, thanks very much, Mickey.
Thanks very much, Karen.
Why would you go for all that, effort just to do it in that way? You're not, and then being in that mud, so you're not pile driving, are you, 100 years ago?
And that's if it's only 100 years old and not 200 or 300 years old. So we haven't really done very well, to be honest. We have not managed to find the video with the news somewhere in Brazil in the 80s. It's found with these great big metal stilts, and they're saying that the church was 100 years old. But we'll just look at pictures of some other places which have stilts, and I suppose it's important that we mention it because not only is it houses, these ones obviously have wooden stumps, stilts, again with that crazy roof.
Like Indonesia again.
You'll probably find now that there's loads of buildings built on stilts. These ones are wooden, but we're going to get onto somewhere else because it made me excuse me, it made me think when I saw this. I mean, that looks like the things out in the sea, doesn't it? The military things. Yes, here we are. Piers are built on stilts. This, unfortunately, is the second pier. It went from a ship hitting it in a storm. I saw the ship, I went to see it. It came up on the beach, and then over time and more seas and fires and whatever else, it burnt down into just the metal stumps. That's all that's left now, or was left, is those stumps. Very sad that is. It was a beautiful old pier. There's theatre on it. But there you go, that's Eastbourne Pier. Looks a bit like the chain one. It doesn't. It resembles the architecture bit, but the piers are a little bit different. But how did they do all that? How did they build all these piers out at sea? And the reason they were made was because ships docked to them. And that's something that I don't think people realise. They were for ships. Obviously in a time... There's another one, there you go. Seashore Chain Pier. So that's not the same one as Brighton, but that's another pier. Oh, those are a little bit small. But anyway, These are wooden piers as well. Like, wow. But again, all built on stilts. Yeah, look at that, stilts. So it fits into our video because it's stilts. We looked at that building and thought columns, but we found more on stilts showing us than we have on columns. On columns, I just want to show you some old buildings, that's it. But there you go. Piers are made on stilts, and most of these were made in the 1800s. Yeah. Because we know they lie.
Yeah.
Well, is that
See,
inside
look at this.
it?
Yeah, look, it's red brick. See that?
That's a lot of weight though on those things, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, as much as it is bearing. You know, 100 years. If it's on 100 years on them, they ain't done too bad.
This is what piers are. They are structures, and they're in the water. So, all the way back there in the 1800s, they had the technology to put these big metal stilts into the sea. Anyway, this one is called the Royal Suspension Chain Pier. It was the first pier in Brighton. Brighton's had 3 piers. Later on I show you pictures of the second pier, which was amazing. It had theatre and everything on it. That got burnt. No, ship hit it, broke it. Then it got left out there for years, and then eventually more ships, more problems, more storms. And now there's nothing left. It's probably under the sea, but not on top of the sea is anything left now. But this was the first pier. It was built in the 1800s. And they managed to anchor this pier into the side of the hills. So they were saying that they were struggling to get groceries, and there wasn't roads and things then down there. Not getting to Brighton, supposedly. Or many this. But they were able to into the side of the hill, which means machinery must have been used because of how they anchored it into the hill. Now I think that's incredible. But anyway, at the same time, because I didn't realise this pier had 18 tons of marble on it, because I didn't realise when they made piers, all piers were for docking ships. We've turned them into amusement arcades, but they weren't. They were to dock ships. I mean, it almost sounds like we didn't even know that that's what it was. It's been and gone. I find that all really weird, that that's what it was, but it's been and gone. And you look at it and go, look at those amusements, and that's what we go to them for. But they weren't. They were for docking ships. So the chain link pier at the end had 18 tons of marble on it. So it could have been the reason, with a couple of storms or whatever, or maybe a tsunami that happened, because we used to get tsunamis and earthquakes and things like that, which they haven't really told you, but we did. We still get them. We just don't feel them. But we still get little earthquakes. And anyway, and I also didn't know, because it was due to research, that it was quicker to go from this chain link pier to Paris than it was to go from Dover to Paris. It was quicker to go from Brighton. So I don't understand why you would have wanted to have destroyed this, because you could have a flourishing business. I mean, maybe Brighton would have been Dover now, because it was quicker to get to Paris from here. But then, you know, but it was called the Royal Suspension Bridge, which probably tells you it all. And also, just before we go, because obviously I looked this up, I did quite a few videos on Brighton and came across, I was a bit shocked, because obviously my parents come from there. My mum lived in Hove, and my dad lived in Rottingdean, and Brighton's in the middle, and Hove adjoins Brighton. But it was the next bit. The next bit is the Daddy Longlegs, and the Daddy Longlegs was supposedly built to give transport from Rottingdean to Brighton.
Yeah, they're going to turn it.
And it may be the hill, like to flatten out the land, because some of it's hilly. But they were brilliant architects in those days, much better than today. Even though we're making this video because of YouTube, I suppose it was a good idea to put this in, the Daddy Longlegs and the piers and the other buildings, because they're all stilts. But you have to think, this was made in the 1800s. I've already just told you about the pier, about how amazing that was to build that in those times, when somebody built this. Now, let's just put the video on because I'm having problems filming as per usual. But anyway, so this was made in the 1800s. It came from Rottingdean to the chain link pier. But when the chain link pier was destroyed, then so was this, because they couldn't moor to the pier anymore. And they were thinking of doing it again, but it cost so much money they didn't, and so it was made redundant, and it could have only been months, weeks with this opening. So don't you think that's incredible? But this has the largest tracks in the world in the sea. Obviously there's not much left today, but it had the biggest tracks, and also it had electricity in the water. Nobody got electrocuted. There's the big tracks there. Nobody got electrocuted. I mean, for instance, who made the tracks for this? You'd have to have a company manufacturing them. I just think that's incredible. But anyway, there we are. Brighton and Rottingdean, the electric railway. There still is an electric train there. Obviously a smaller one that goes up and down the sea. And the same people that made this made the train that's still there. But obviously it's very old. But again, it's just quite incredible. Who made the tracks? They were using electricity in water. And, you know, who put all this in? That once it was in, they didn't have enough money to mend it or even make a station for it to, for the people to dock to. And also, something that's interesting is that through, what was the film again? War of the Worlds. They got a lot of inspiration for War of the Worlds from this. But again, the thing is built on stilts and seems quite safe. So that's quite incredible in itself. Yes, what's your thoughts on that? I've done this before in videos. I didn't even know these things were there. I don't even think my mum knew they were there. My mum never mentioned this. Obviously everybody knows about the piers. But, I mean, look at those things that were on the ground. I mean, this is quite... If this was done in the 1800s, I'd have said that that was very modern for its time. Kind of looks like a flat boat on there, doesn't it? And me and Mickey noticed in some of the pictures that it was different shapes and things. You know, like, it's just different. If it was only going for there must have been a few different... There must have been a few different ones.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, well, it just design, innit? You know, for the ages.
And did you see it had lampposts in the water?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So how did they manage to do all that in this time? How could they do all this? There's something very missing in our history. I mean, in those days, you could get a fairground ride on the World Trade Fairs that sat 2,000 people. The big wheel
yeah.
Sat 2,000 people could go on it. You think, 2,000 people a ride? Can you imagine it? It must have taken 3 hours to get them on and off or something like. Or jump off, jump on, quick, come on. 2,000 people a ride. But look what they were able to do in those days, which still links into our video, because that place is quite old and is built on large stilts. But in these days, they seem to like stilts, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, all below.
Well,
It's like how deep? It's like 30 metres, isn't it?
Yeah.
What are you doing down there? How'd you get down
How do they get down there? How do they get down there to put
What's the purpose?
to put the stilts in?
Yeah, how'd you put them in?
You saw what it took in the video. The lorries. They had
Wow.
great big lorries in
Yeah,
there
yeah,
doing all that.
that's-
So
yeah.
how did they do it? And cranes.
What are they doing
Diggers.
there?
that
Yeah.
was the 70s, wasn't it?
So how do they do all this? Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
So what does everybody else think then about this? What do they think is going on here? That building is 8 floors up before it starts.
Not 100 foot. You're 30 metres, I could say.
Oh, is that how far that man's buried?
Yeah, that's about as high
Oh
as
my
that is.
god.
Yeah. about 30
That's
metres
Major Labrador.
Yeah,
Him,
him,
yeah.
the Frenchman.
That
Never
was a
washed.
video out a few days ago. It might not be out yet,
No, I think, yeah.
but it will be going out.
It's on BitChute.
He was buried upside down, 100 feet down, so as far down. There is no way they would have dug that far down to bury him. I'm sorry.
Well, it's another. Find out more information if you can on him.
Yeah,
Another
well,
mystery.
it's not out yet on YouTube, but it might be when this one goes out. Anyway, thanks for letting me in.
That's okay, Karen.
Didn't know what